Does anyone have a question? You know, I spoke last night about something that's really interesting. And what I spoke about was the fact that every human being is completely a unique person. You know, every human being has an individuality which is essential for their lives. And the thing that we all have in common is the need for spiritual nourishment, the need for energy to replace the energy that we spend every day. You know, and most people try to get that energy from other people. They try to get it from computers, they try to get it from wherever they can get it, you know, they have been reaching out. And it's kind of like a strange level of people consuming each other day after day after day. And instead of realizing that we all have this uniqueness, we all have to thrive in this uniqueness, and that we need to regenerate ourselves. And we're not going to regenerate ourselves by, you know, kind of being vampires, taking other people's energy. It's just going to create a lot of problems. We have to regenerate ourselves by truly building an inner life that's strong enough to connect with God. So this higher energy, the spirit, is what regenerates us, you know, and not just consuming other people, taking their energy in little and big ways, you know, that we somehow do in order to get through our own day. What this leads to is respect for other people. It leads to compassion for other people. It leads to a whole different way of looking at the world. And the recognition that the only place we can go to get this energy that we need, you know, is to God. But that's not going to happen unless we build an inner life that makes it strong enough for that to happen. Otherwise, we have it's a world of cannibalism, people just consuming each other. And you see it in business, you see it in politics, you see it in families, that people just consume each other. You know, and ultimately there's nothing left, and, you know, people die, you know, they're consumed by other people. And it shouldn't be the way life functions, but I'm sorry to say it is the way most of life functions, because most people don't have any training to build a system inside that is strong enough to tap higher energy in the universe. That is all this meditation is about. You know, learning how to build an inner life that can connect with spirit, that can connect with higher energy, and that can truly allow ourselves to be nurtured, you know, not with manifestation, not with Maya, not with illusion, thinking the next car, the next house, you know, the next husband, the next wife, the next whatever it is going to change us. It doesn't. It turns us on a little bit, you know, but it doesn't truly provide the nourishment that people need in order to live in this world, to become happy in this world, to, you know, have their own self-respect and dignity in this world, you know, their own humanity. So we need to go where that energy is. And all this meditation is about is building a system that enables a person to do this. And the cannibalism stops, the consuming of others stops, the respect for others grows, the ability to allow people to be grows. We no longer need to encapsulate them in our own little box where we can feed off of them every single day. This is really a very difficult subject because people live this way. And they forget that the real source of energy is from God, from higher energy. And they need to, but the reason they forget is the system isn't strong enough to do what I'm talking about. And this is probably 98% of what this meditation is all about. Building that kind of inner life that enables us to open to the source of all creativity and not think that we have to get it from other people, or even unconsciously we get it from other. Most of that is done unconsciously. People don't even know they're consuming each other. It's amazing, you know? So our work is about that. It builds deep respect for humanity. It builds deep respect for every single living creature. It builds deep respect for life, and it builds deep respect for our own individuality, you know, being nurtured by higher energy and allowing us to open our hearts and communicate with the world with love, with joy, with compassion, on a whole different level than most people communicate. And that's what this meditation is for. You know, this meditation is not religion. It's a very practical thing. You know, it's you know, the pragmatics of it are extraordinary because its purpose is to do everything I've spoken about just now. It's not to make us religious. It's not to make us righteous. It's not to make us the chosen of God. It's to make us human beings, you know, so that we can live here and, you know, respect life, respect ourselves, our uniqueness, our individuality, other people's uniqueness, their individuality. We don't have to control anybody, and we don't have to feed off of other people. We let life be. We let it be, you know. I hope this is clear, you know, because I'm not teaching religion here. I don't know what I'm teaching here other than helping people to build a chakra system that can enable them to truly have a spiritual life, not to be religious, but to have a spiritual life, you know, in which they recognize that everything around them is sacred. They're sacred. Every single thing is a manifestation of God, and it's sacred. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Yes, Stuart, you were talking about cannibalism, and Rudy talks about spiritual cannibalism. So
everyone, try and sit still until the class is over. Yes, go ahead.
When he talks about spiritual cannibalism, is he referring to this way in which we burn our own tension and make energy out of it?
Well, he's talking about, Daniel, is a different thing that I'm talking about right now. What he's talking about is, well, maybe it is what I'm talking about. It's that consuming energy at the source of all creativity. That's what, you know, spiritual cannibalism. So you are eating the energy of God in order to develop consciousness and to live on a higher level in this world. It's not consuming other people. And I think, you know, for all the years I spent around him, and probably, you know, was around him a lot while he was even dictating that book. I mean, that's what it's all about. Consuming the universe, consuming, you know, energy, the fountainhead of energy at the source of all creativity. You know, and then using that to transform oneself, to break down all of the tensions, the barriers, and try to function on a higher level. And I think that's exactly what he was talking about. I mean, his book has a very interesting title, you know, Spiritual Cannibalism. But I think his idea of this was the consumption of the fountainhead of energy, of God's energy, opening and receiving it, and building an inner life that is strong enough that we don't have to consume everybody, other people's lives and other people's energies. Once you're connected there, you understand the whole way you approach life changes. As I say, you begin to recognize that all of life is a manifestation of God. Everything is sacred. Even the jerks that sit in Parliament and the Knesset and the Congress yak and try to kill each other. Oh, even that is a teacher. It's a way of God expressing itself to teach us something about life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I would like to ask, please. I don't understand this, that people are consuming other people. I don't understand what do you mean by this? I don't remember anyone consumed me or I did it. Can you please explain?
Well, how do I explain this? And it's a living reality that people live off each other's energies. People fall in love and they live off each other's energies until the love disappears, and then they just live off of I don't know what. It's just the way that people operate in business. We're all being used in business so that big corporations consume us. They consume you, and then after 50 years, they give you a watch.
It's 2 o'clock.
And you retire. You're consumed by life. And we get salaries, and we get this, and that. It's really kind of like a slavery that goes on in the world. And what we need to learn is how to get big enough so that we can draw that energy. And it's like in the Bible, they say, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what's God's. And you give to Caesar without Caesar consuming you, taking your life away from you. And this goes on everywhere. I mean, look, I've been in the business world. Boy, I know what goes on there. People consuming each other. I've been in the literary world. I've been in God knows how many worlds I've lived in. And it's the same thing. People can, and what does it? It's ego. Because if people were connected to spirit, they would respect each other. They would support each other. They would nurture each other. So it's the ego in people that consumes other people. And the bigger the ego, the more it consumes. I mean, look at this guy, Donald Trump, what he consumes in life. The ego is so huge that everyone around him becomes like some flayed person, destroys everybody that's around him. That's what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is we need to build a system that is strong enough to get to the fountainhead of energy. And then we have the independence and the strength inside that doesn't allow life to consume us, other people to consume us. This is a difficult thing, but it goes on in the world, I'm sorry to say. And it really is a terrible thing that goes on in life. And part of the meditation is building that kind of inner life that enables us to be able to live here and to be free of here at exactly the same time. And that our energy isn't being sucked out of us. It goes on in I remember my family, everybody lived off of everybody. I never heard anybody talking about chakra systems that connect them to the source of creative energy. It was all people emotionally living off of each other, consuming each other. And I know when I was 16 years old, I even recognized this and I couldn't stand it, The Sundays with the relatives and, it was everybody eating off of each other. This kind of false security of life that comes out of fear of really growing and connecting with creative energy in the universe. That's what real family is about. Growing and connecting with energy in the universe so they can truly nurture each other, you know, respect each other, love each other. And this is hard, you know, because we're all confronted with this kind of thing. And I think I talk about this because I realize how important it is that people, in order to work out their karma and to live here in a state of joy and love and happiness, they got to get that inner strength. And you're only going to get that inner strength by connecting to the fountainhead of all energy, which is energy of God. I mean, I read an article today in the media, you know, about this guy who owns Amazon, that he has, you know, God knows, 200,000 people working for them. He pays them slaves' wages, and he just built himself a house the size of a city. You know, I mean, it's like consuming all these people instead of giving them living wages and not having to live in a house the size of a city. You know, take, you know, $50 million out of it, have a $20 million house instead of a 200 million, and nurture the people. Let them live better, you know? It's consumption. And half the people that work with him, they're living in the back of their cars, you know? This is what goes on in the world. And nobody thinks twice about that. They laud these people, they praise them. And they're all a bunch of slave owners, they're a bunch of plantation owners, you know? I thought slavery disappeared in the 1860s in America. No, it's still in corporate America and big corporates, all slavery. So what I'm talking about is building a connection with the real source of energy. And that energy will enable a person to grow, to transform the kind of prison they live in into something that is of a much higher level.
Stuart, I have a question.
Yes.
How do you find strength?
Well, do what I'm talking about. You can only find real strength by being connected to spirit. In order for you to be connected to spirit, Manchi, you've got to build a system inside that is strong enough to do it. It's what I tell people. You understand, there are 3 elements to this meditation. The first one is being connected to spirit. Spirit is very powerful. It's infinite. It's beyond all human comprehension. We need to be really strong to allow that energy to come into us. The second one is life, which we all know is also very powerful and very difficult to deal with every day. So we need to be very strong to draw that energy down so that we can work out our karma in life. And the third element is the Kundalini force, which is also very powerful. But if we build that system inside, the Kundalini force takes us to a state of enlightenment. So it's those 3 elements in a human being that are essential to develop. None of that is going to develop unless a person builds a system in themselves that's strong enough to do it. And by strength, I don't mean ego strength. You understand? I mean real connection with God. That gives you that strength. I mean, it certainly has given me the strength to get through all the stuff I had to get through in my life. And to come out doing this, you know, at this period of my life. Teaching on this level. But that's where you get the real strength. You can't take it out of your partner, your husband, your wife, because you'll suck them dry and they'll get, you know, you're going to kill them. You got to get it from the higher source and then love them. Just love them unconditionally. I hope that's clear, you know, because it's such an important thing to learn. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? All right, I just have an announcement to make. On Monday, Daniel, who's here in class, is going to interview me about my book that he translated into Portuguese, Navigating the River of Time. I'm going to send out invitations, links, the same way I send out these Zoom class links to people. If you know people that would like to come, you can pass the link on to them just via email, you know, or text. You can pass this on to them. And it might bring some new people into the meditation, might bring some new people that might get interested in the book, you know, because the book is both in English and Portuguese, so it would work either way. So I'm going to do that early Monday morning. And if you know people you think are interested in this, pass on the invitation. You can even call them before and say, I'm going to send you an invitation to this interview that's going to happen on Zoom. And if you're interested, you know, you'll have a link that you'll be able to go there. I think, you know, I was trying to figure out a way to do this, and I think that's the only way I can do it, because otherwise I got to get everybody in the world's email, and that's not going to work. But people can do it if they know people that might be interested. And you just forward it. There's a thing on everybody's email, forward. You know, you can forward the link to them. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, thank you. God bless you all. And in all humility, I am so grateful to be here, to be doing this with everybody. And I have deep respect for all of you for coming and opening and hopefully wanting to learn some of the things that I've learned in my life.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, and God bless you. There'll be a class again on Sunday. I'll see you then.
Thank you.
Bye.